Hi, I'm Matt Truex from Prop Store, and welcome to another live auction preview event. I am clearly surrounded by some very colorful stuff because I get the fun one. I get to do family films and television today. So we're going to go through some of the highlight pieces from different family titles that are in the auction. But of course, this is just a sampling of the over 1,300 lots that are in this year's Entertainment Memorabilia Live Auction. At any time, please feel free to check out propstore.com/live auction to see the entire online catalog, to see close-ups of these and every other lot in the auction, and of course, start bidding today. The auction will be held live starting on June 29th through to July 1st. It's our first 3-day live auction. We're very excited for it. So please also join us on those days where you can live stream straight from the auction room and see all these pieces get sold off. But without further ado, let's jump into some of the stuff in front of me here, starting with probably two of the most recognizable puppets in the world. This is the first time that Prop Store has handled original Muppet pieces like this. And again, could not get more iconic. These, of course, are the Heckler Muppets, excuse me, from Jim Henson's Muppets. We've got Waldorf and Statler over here. The construction on these is incredible. It's the first time I've gotten to see Muppets up close like this. I haven't seen any of the museum exhibits or anything like that. But just to see the way that the construction is done is really very interesting. These heads are carved foam heads that have been flocked to match the Antron fleece that is used on all of the Muppets in that cast. And they've got the Antron fleece necks here as well. That fleece was used by Jim Henson, he developed a system to make the Muppets because it was very easy to hide the seams on that. If they sewed it on the inside and then flipped it over, you could barely see the seams on a Kermit the Frog or something like that. And that's why that material is still used today, and why all the Muppets, even these more human characters, have a little bit of that peach fuzz feel to them, all to match that style. But then, of course, they are finished up with their aging hair here. I love that Statler over here even has a little ear hair to match the rest of his. And they've got the ping pong ball-esque eyes with little felt pupils in there. Could not be more excited to kind of meet these puppets up close and personal. These were backup heads for various productions from the 90s. Please check out more of the details on propstore.com/live auction if you're as interested in these as I am. But sticking in the cartoony vibe for a little bit, let's go down here to the Valiant and Valiant Veritas box. This is, of course, from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'll show you the very cool details inside the box in a second. But the key part of this piece is the box itself, believe it or not. It is screen matched to one of two used in the film, even down to the inside description here from Yosemite Sam himself. And then you see the Tune 38 pistol, and inside the little compartment here, the Dum Dum character bullets. So neither the Tune 38 or the Dum Dum were used on screen. They used various stand-ins for the gun for the actor to use throughout production. But this was made shortly after production by the crew and given out as a gift. These Dum Dum bullets were likely on set at the time as a reference piece for the actors. They knew the type of characters that they were working with. They did that a lot on Who Framed Roger Rabbit. We've sold and seen various Roger stand-ins that were 3D pieces, kind of like Dino over here. It was just on set to give the actors a little bit of an understanding of the character that they were working with. So that's the concept behind the Dum Dum bullets here as well. But all of those, of course, would have been animated and jumped right into the barrel of the gun before they were fired off. We've got a kind of longer video coming out where Brandon Allinger goes through a lot more details on this case. So if you're interested in that, please check out our social media and keep an eye out for that. But let's go from that kind of, cartoon live action hybrid to straight up animation over here. We've got some stop motion animation pieces from various productions, and I think it's interesting to look at them and note the way that the stop motion art has developed over the years. So, it might have started with claymation, that type of thing in the Rankin and Bass days. And then, of course, we've got Nightmare Before Christmas. These are two heads in a whole set of heads for Jack and Sally from that film. All unpainted, unfinished prototype pieces, I guess. But the great thing to see if you check out all the heads together is the different variations on the mouths and the eye, the expression on the face. The process on that film was every time, it's stop motion, so it's one shot after another put together, and in all those shots, the animators are changing the puppets ever so slightly to get the movement that they wanted. Hopefully better than what you just saw there. Um, but the process on this film was that they would change out either the full front face for Sally here, because she had, the hair going down the back of her head, or for Jack, they'd change out the entire head every shot of the film so the character could keep emoting. So they had to create tons of different variations of different vowel sounds and mouth motions and eye expressions to get all the animation they needed for that film. Then came Coraline. This is Henry Selznick's Coraline, based on the Neil Gaiman book. And for that, Leica, the studio that produced this film, made some great innovations in stop motion. What you're seeing here are all prototype pieces from that film, but the idea behind how they created the actual puppets that were used on screen was, instead of full face replacements like this that all had to be hand sculpted and taken out each and every shot, they first digitally designed the faces, and then it's one of the first films that 3D printed the stop motion puppet faces. And they 3D printed them in the way that basically they halved all the faces. So it'd be from nose down and nose up. That way you had tons of different variations on how you could change all the characters' expressions and mouths and eye movements throughout the film. And then they would just digitally get rid of that seam in post-production. Just incredible, incredible stuff. And you can see a bit of that construction, I guess, in these maquettes here. Now, these character heads are all painted up like they might appear in the film, but this character head of one of Coraline's neighbors, if you take a look at the photos on the online catalog, you can see the lines here that are indicative of the fact that this was 3D printed. And then, of course, for the final puppets, they would have sanded that down, used a filler, and painted over it so that you wouldn't see any of those 3D printed lines there. But here is a maquette for the other mother with her button eyes here, Coraline's neighbors and her father and other father there. And then an early maquette test of Coraline herself. Now, this is a puppet, or a test, I should say, but it does have some movement in it. You can see the eyes move ever so slightly. They are a different piece in there, as is the hair and this silicone sweater that she's got here. So very much a test to see how the actual puppets, how the construction of what they were designing would work on film. The other cool thing about this piece is that it's signed by the author of Coraline himself, Mr. Neil Gaiman. So just a nice little piece of pre-production, and nice to see that Neil was involved in, basically signing off, giving his blessing at such an early stage in the film. And then, keeping with our cartoon design, let's finish up with Dino over here. Obviously, Flintstones, right? This is Puppy Dino, as seen in Flintstones Viva Rock Vegas. That's a sequel, prequel film to the first live-action Flintstones that was done in the early 90s, where they kind of established the design of how they were going to translate the Flintstones, a cartoon, to live action, and established the design of Dino. In that film, he was both CG and puppet, and that's what they continued on with Viva Rock Vegas. I just love this piece, though, for the expression on his face, for the sculpting. It's a nice blend of seeing the type of texture you would want in a movie dinosaur, but also keeping that bubbly, fun expression of Dino in the TV show. Let's go to some of the costumes behind me from some more family classics, starting with the classic of them all, Elf. This is one of the background Elf costumes from Jon Favreau's Elf. Obviously, all of the North Pole aesthetic in that film was very much based on Rankin and Bass, the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, stop motion, that type of stuff. But it's very cool to me to see that aesthetic taken and then elevated a little bit when it's brought to live action. Even for a background elf like this, we've got this beautiful stitching going along the front here with these little bits of holly and the beads, and then I guess a reindeer down here, all kind of bringing that aesthetic that we all think of as the North Pole into live action. Just very cool to see that type of piece. Also very cool. I'm a 90s baby, so this will always mean something to me. We've got the Red Ranger here from the first Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie in the early 90s. Of course, the costumes on the TV show, which was a huge hit by then, were very different. They were much simpler. They were reusing footage from a Japanese show where they were just in lycra onesies, essentially, with the helmets and the gloves. So when they went to the movie, they wanted to redesign it, thinking where we were with superhero films at the time. Tim Burton's and I guess Joel Schumacher's Batman had already happened at that point, and we'd seen Batman in a sculpted chest piece and the whole sculpted suit. So that's the aesthetic that they kind of went with here for our Power Rangers, and a little bit of the motorcycle leather vibe as well, which is very cool. Again, to see this kind of simple design that we all know graduated a bit and brought to the big screen like this. The suit and the gloves, the belt or boots, all original with a replica chest piece, helmet, and we've got the replica morpher as well to finish off the lot. We've also got basically the entire rest of the team of Power Rangers in this auction. So if you're as big a fan as I am, do check out the live auction catalog to see all the other team members. And then we'll finish off our costume section here with Karate Kid 2. This is Shozen's gi from when Daniel sees him practicing in his dojo. What I love about this piece is that it's signed by the actor and has his famous quote from the movie, "Maybe trouble looking for you." Also very cool to see. This is one of the pieces in the auction that might be from the 80s or 90s, but still has some relevance today. We've got, Michael Keaton Batman pieces. Obviously, he's filming as Batman again right now. We've got our Indiana Jones fedora, and Indiana Jones is filming again with Harrison Ford. And this character of Shozen has appeared in Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid spin-off series. So just really cool to see that these pieces, these relics of cinema still have cultural value and are still, being seen on screen as well. Before we move on to our other pieces here, let's talk about this. This is by far my favorite piece we've ever dealt with here at Prop Store, just personally. This is an original I Dream of Jeannie bottle from the color years of the series. The series was one of the last ones to be filmed and broadcast in black and white in the 60s for their first season. For that first season, the prop masters found this design of the bottle. This was a Jim Beam glass decanter, a Christmas gift that year for the Jim Beam family. And they painted it pretty simply in the first season with just kind of a gold vine design throughout, just enough to give it a little bit of texture, on screen. But when they went to the color years, they clearly redesigned the paint idea throughout the bottle and brought us this incredible prop that we've all seen on reruns and stuff since then. The best part about this piece is it is one of the original Jim Beam glass bottles. This isn't a recast or anything like that, but this was used in production as an effects bottle. You can see at the bottom here, it's got the maker's mark, but it's also got this hole cut in the middle of it where presumably they would have blown smoke for Barbara Eden's Jeannie when she's coming in and out of the bottle in the smoke effect. Just so incredibly cool. I was a huge fan of this show as a kid. Some kids wanted action figures and play sets. I wanted a Jim Beam decanter, so I'm thrilled to be working with this piece and get to see it in this auction. Again, for more photos, please check out the live auction catalog. But for these next pieces, many of them, all 100% of the Hammer Prize proceeds for these pieces are going to go to the Lumos Foundation. Lumos is a charity founded by J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, that works around the world to help children and kind of revamp healthcare systems to ensure that every child around the world is raised by a family that is supportive and loves them. For more information, please check out wearelumos.org and find out more about the charity and more ways to help them. But without further ado, let's get into the pieces here. The wand, the glasses, and a full set of Harry Potter books, all signed by J.K. Rowling, are the pieces that are benefiting Lumos this year. Again, 100% of the Hammer Prize proceeds. And let's start here with the wand. Obviously an iconic piece of the Harry Potter films. You can't get much more iconic than this. Not the original style of wand that Harry used in the films. For the first two films, it was a much simpler wand, almost stage magician-esque. But then in the third film, Prisoner of Azkaban, a lot of the recurring pieces, costumes, and props like this were redesigned, and we got this more organic feeling wand. It's a little more, tapered and I guess sanded at the top with this very strong bark wood effect down here at the bottom, despite the fact that it's made of resin. This piece comes with an original pouch and an original COA from the Warner Brothers archive, as does Harry Potter's glasses over here. These are from the final film in the series, Deathly Hallows Part 2. Again, you can't get much more iconic pieces of Harry Potter than these two, and these do come with a Warner Brothers COA and cloth bag as well. We've got tons more Harry Potter items in the auction as well, including this letter here, Harry Potter's letter from Hogwarts, which is the full letter. The seal is broken on the back. I won't take the letter out, but you can see inside here the letter from Hogwarts. And if you check out our online catalog, you can see the full thing signed by Professor McGonagall and all that. But like I was saying, this is just a small sampling of the items that we've got in this auction from both family films and TV and every other genre. There's a big family genre that we didn't touch on today, Star Wars, but we're going to be dealing with that in next week's live stream. Brandon will be back to host that and talk you through some of the key Star Wars lots in this auction. So join us back here every Friday until the auction to see another Prop Store live stream. And of course, go to propstore.com/live auction to register, start bidding, and see the entire auction catalog. But till our next live stream, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.